afternoon, friends. You are welcomed by the program Crimean Tatar Food, a program about Crimean Tatar food, about the traditions of Crimean Tatar cuisine. Today we are in my favorite Bakhchisaray district near the village of Albit. We are surrounded by rocks, water, sun, beautiful weather. We took meat with us. We have a great company. Let's cook something interesting. Today we continue the kebab section. In the last issue of Who Has Not Seen About Kazan Kebab, Rustam Dervish kindly shared with us the etymology of the word kebab. What does it mean? From ancient Persian it means simply fried meat. But this prefix to means exactly how the meat is cooked. That is, Kazan kebab, baked kebab, kebab, shepherd kebab. But today we will cook our national dish called Kyimaly Kebab. Today we have our wonderful beloved Crimea in the lead roles. 1.5 kilograms of lamb, 350 grams of lamb fat, onions, vegetables, vinegar, our favorite spices, salt, black pepper. And I'm your new host, Alim Ablaev, theater and film actor. Nice to meet you. Let's get started. First of all, we need to butcher, or rather, turn our meat into minced meat. If someone has already guessed what this dish is called in the world, it has a slightly different name. Write in the comments, it will be interesting to see the options. We are starting to turn our meat, wonderful, into minced meat. Today we will do it with hatchets. Again, Rustam Dervish showed issues about pasties. How to butcher meat with 2 knives. Today we will try to do it this way. To begin with, we will cut the meat not into small pieces, as we would do it for a barbecue, for example. But we will try to make it as wide as possible so that it is convenient to walk on the meat with an axe. Cut our pieces first. It is very important to cut our meat as small as possible. Let's get started. If you do not want to suffer, please use a meat grinder. There is nothing wrong with that. Someone says that the meat grinder squeezes the juice a lot. This is true? Yes, she squeezes juice. But there are several steps. How can this be, if not avoided, then smooth the impression as much as possible? Before cutting the meat, freeze it slightly, and about an hour before you cut the meat in a meat grinder, put all the components of the meat grinder in the freezer. This will allow our meat not to be squeezed out, but to be cut, because it will be cool and will easily and confidently leave your meat grinder. In a similar way, we continue to cut our meat until it reaches the consistency of minced meat. I don't know if the sun is visible or not, but it took quite a long time until we completely finished with this meat. But for us it's fun. For us, it's cool, because it's purely male pleasure in nature, chopping meat with an axe. Cool. Another small step so that it does not stick too much to ours or to the axe. Look, your knife or axe is in hot water. That way you won't get too carried away. Or, 2, first freeze the mutton fat. Let's start cutting lamb fat. We need to cut very finely, and then also chop. But not at the heart. Because if you mess around for too long or chop the mutton fat too actively, it will quickly stick to your knife, to the axe. It will be completely inconvenient. You should have half a grain of rice, the size of the chopped lamb fat. And we will try now to grind into such a state. We are entering the finish line with our lamb fat. I have almost achieved the desired consistency, the desired state, while we put it in another container. And we have just a little left. Onions and spices. Recently I spied on how to properly and finely chop an onion. I will share with you too. Look, we don't cut it to the end. We make these cuts. How? As if we cut it into half rings. We make such incisions like this often. Then we turn it over. We make such an incision inside and here. And now we grind it. Today, for this dish, unfortunately, we don't need so much juice that onions usually give. Therefore, we are now sparing it finely. And then we will squeeze out this extra juice, because this extra juice will make our minced meat too viscous, too liquid. And for this dish, we do not need it. We need only the aroma and light taste of the onion, but not its juiciness. Juiciness will give us fat. I love to cook outdoors. You cut onions and don't cry. Beauty. Let's combine everything that we have cut with such diligence all this time. I remember minced meat, fat, onions and spices. All this in one big plate. And they forgot to squeeze the stop bow. This must be done. We don't need that much juice. Put the onion in a separate bowl. If a sieve can use, it will be better this way. And we just take it and crush it in this dish with a fist. We finally connect it all together. And now we will proceed to the most interesting. We will knead the minced meat, and then we will beat it. This process needs to be given the closest attention, because how you notice the minced meat determines whether your kebab will fall off the skewer or not. It is very important. You need to stir for quite some time until the meat releases protein, begins to stretch with such white fibers, until it changes color. So they kneaded it a little bit of the general consistency of the minced meat. I took it, grabbed it, and now we add spices. Salt for starters. I'll take about 1 tablespoon of salt per eye. It's like this kind of hill. Half here, black pepper. About half a tablespoon. Coriander is also about half a tablespoon. Add what you love. And mix thoroughly. How to check the consistency of minced meat? I will show it to you specially now in an unfinished state. Pay attention. I take it, pick it up, and it easily falls off my hand. With minced meat that has reached the desired consistency, this should not happen. A little later I will show you what the correct stuffing looks like. But for this you need to carefully mix in our minced meat for 10, 15 minutes, maybe even. Why do we cook lamb kebabs? You can cook it from anything, from beef, from chicken. In Turkey, I saw, they even make it from fish. But the Crimean Tatars made lamb kebab because they mainly kept lamb, because in addition to sheep meat they also gave wool. Plus, they grazed there in green meadows, ate beautiful, tasty green grass, and there were healthy, strong, young, beautiful, slender rams, which were pleasant to eat. The current lamb, of course, is slightly different in taste. Therefore, some masters write that why do you add so many spices? Because our lamb is not tasty enough. That's why we add these spices. Of course, if it was the same primordial ram, it would certainly be super tasty meat. But here we add spices. How, in fact, I came to the fact that I'm standing here in front of you now and being smart on camera about how our Crimean Tatar dishes should be prepared. Everything is very simple. I get great pleasure from it because there is something meditative, something calming in this process, from which I get great pleasure when you see how your family friends are fed, full. Moreover, they like what you have prepared. This is one of the greatest pleasures that you can get in life. Comparable, perhaps, with the applause that you get after a well-played performance. Therefore, all those who were probably outraged today by my culinary ignorance can come to the commentary and leave their feedback there. Be sure to do this simply without insults. But come and write. And even better, maybe you will post a video where you share your recipe. How do you cook our Crimean Tatar dishes? And we will have another culinary blogger. I think it's cool, because the more Crimean Tatar culture will be on all media platforms, the better. Welcome. And finally, this exciting moment has come, to remove all the impressionable from the screens. Because now we will show how our ancestors did. We will now beat the meat, beat it, knock out excess air from it in this way. And in fact it is important. No matter how it looks, this is a very important process, because during the time we select it, it comes out. All the excess air leaves it, which again will prevent our meat from holding firmly on the skewer. Therefore, this is also quite an important point. In general, the whole preparation of our minced meat, its delimitation, its repulsion. This is one of the most important and necessary parts in the process of preparing this dish. Pay special attention to this. So, look, here I took a piece of minced meat, I lowered it, and it does not fall off in pieces. It sticks to me, it's fibrous. All is needed. Therefore, our stuffing is ready. Got to the right consistency. Now we will send the meat to rest, and I will share with you one fact. I would even say a family secret, how to cool the meat without a refrigerator. Look, this secret was shown to me by my father in the apiary. Take a container that needs to be cooled, wrap it in some kind of rag, pour water over it, and put it in the shade. It is desirable that there be a draft. You will be surprised at this effect. But it really works almost like a refrigerator. While we have meat to rest, we will prepare the brazier. The most important highlight we need to achieve. This is to ensure that the coals are barely burned out, to fry the meat, so that it immediately seizes everything, and the juices remain inside the meat. Before placing the minced meat, we beat it lightly again in this way. Take a skewer and place the meat on the skewer. Shampoo should not be hot either. It is also advisable to cool it before cooking, maybe even put it in the refrigerator. And with such a movement, with the thumb and forefinger, we distribute the meat on the skewer. And as soon as they blind it, immediately send it to the coals. Beat it off, cook the cutlet, and we begin to distribute it on a skewer. As soon as we have dripped fat, we rearrange it. It is not necessary to extinguish it. Extinguish it with salt or water. It will burn out and there will be nothing terrible. Our meat is basically sealed. On the one hand, we turn it over for several minutes. On each side a total of about 10, 12, 15 minutes.
Мы его переворачиваем. По несколько минут с каждой стороны, в общей сложности около 10, 12-15 минут.
You probably already guessed that this is an analog of the dish, kebab, but we call it in the Crimean Tatar Kyimaly Kebab, because we cook in the Crimean Tatar way. By the way, kebab is also in the top 3 dishes on Mangala in every country where it is prepared. Today, we also have, in principle, it turns out well, it does not fall off the skewer. And this is already a good indicator. In general, why Yulia? The Turkic word lula means pipe. That is, we have fried meat in the form of a tube. Everything is very simple. Lula kebab. And we have Crimean Tatar called Kyimaly Kebab. What does minced meat grilled on the grill? This process must go very quickly. Spread the meat on a skewer. Well, in a similar way. And we send it to the grill. We immediately remove the finished pieces. 10, 12 minutes and our meat is ready. Don't overdo it. Don't fry it to dryness. We put it over a couple of times. It's ready. We send it to a plate. We send it to the table. Ah, what a fragrance is already rising over the braziers. So we have this one ready. And carefully send it to the plate and watch. Keep an eye on the rest so they don't burn. Excellent. When it comes to the barbecue, you don't need to relax. You have to be constantly in action. Make sure that nothing burns. So that the flame that forms from the dripping fat does not burn strongly. Let's see how it turned out. Great. Well, we literally have 2 sticks left. Can't wait to go to the table. So it is tasty. Our dish looks juicy. We will quickly remind you of the recipe. Today we used 1.5 kilograms of lamb, 350 grams of mutton fat, 2 large onions. All this we chopped finely, squeezed, mixed with each other. You mix for 15 minutes, beat it for a few minutes, sent the meat to rest. And now, literally 10, 15 minutes, on the Mongol, and our wonderful minced meat turns into an equally wonderful Crimean Tatar dish. Here, it fell off a little with us, but nothing. The most important thing is that it was cooked. The most important thing is that it was delicious, so that everyone was happy. And our last piece is sent to the plate. Well, we have prepared enough to try the rest we have postponed for now. Let's go decorate it, and finally try it. Well, finally, we have prepared this dish. We have been preparing it for a very long time, I confess, because if you want it to be tasty, you need to strain. Because he wanted to chop with an axe. This is how it went for a long time. Well, it's finally ready. I'm already looking forward to trying a piece. Here we have slightly prepared such, probably, an obligatory snack for this dish. This is a bao. In vinegar, lightly seasoned with paprika and red pepper. Let's finally try it. Dear friends, it turned out even better than I expected. It turned out very juicy. This unobtrusive, but still mutton taste of meat is felt. Fat. This is delicious. And the best thing is that it is cooked in the Crimean Tatar way in the Crimea. Everything worked out. I really like it. Well, friends, this is the dish we got today. Kyimaly Kebab is not lula kebab. We have our own names to give them and use them, because our Crimean Tatar cuisine is incredibly rich. It has a long, rich history. Therefore, cook dishes according to the Crimean Tatar. Traveling across the Crimea, please your friends, loved ones with these wonderful dishes. With you as the Crimean Tatar food program. My name is Alim Ablaev. Bon appetit!